Bună ziua, sunt Claudia Tapardel și bine ați venit la emisiunea din culisele Europei, All About EU. Așa cum știți deja, emisiunea din culisele Europei este o emisiune dedicată exclusiv tematicii europene, cu scopul de a genera o mai bună înțelegere de către publicul român a tot ceea ce se întâmplă la nivelul Uniunii Europene, pentru a înțelege cine ia deciziile la Bruxelles, cum sunt luate deciziile la Bruxelles, de ce sunt luate aceste decizii și, mai mult decât atât, care este impactul deciziilor care se iau la nivelul Uniunii Europene asupra vieții fiecărui cetățean european și implicit asupra românilor. And now I will start to speak in English because I have a guest from Germany, a member of the European Parliament, Ismail Ertug. Good afternoon, Ismail. Welcome to All About EU.
Hello, thank you very much for the invitation.
First of all, allow me to present you. Ismail Ertug is Vice President of the S&D Group of the European Parliament. He is responsible with transformation, innovation and a stronger digital Europe. Also, he is a member in two of the most important committees of the European Parliament. The first one is the Committee of Tourism and Transport, and the second one is the Committee for Industry, Research and Energy. And I might say that Ismail Ertug, it's an MEP with a great experience in European politics. I can say that he knows what are the right things to do in Brussels and what aren't the right things to do, because he is at his third mandate as a member of the European Parliament. Am I right or not, Ismail?
You're always right, Claudia.
Thank you so much. I like the way that it started our debate. So, dear Ismail, I will start the discussion with one of the most important subjects on the agenda of the European Union, but also, unfortunately, on the agenda of the member states. The fight against this invisible enemy, COVID-19, and of course, the unprecedented economic and pandemic crisis that hit on all the Europe and, of course, all the European citizens. So the first question that I have for you is about your home country. What is the situation in Germany? And the second question is about the situation at the level of the European Parliament. And more specific, I want to ask you, which are the measures of support from economic to social to sanitary and healthy point of view taken by the European Commission and the European Parliament to support the member states and the European citizens? I want, please, short answers to these two questions.
Thank you very much. Yes, you're fully right. The difficult situation is all around existing. We have in Germany now I would say the third wave ongoing, and Germany will close next week on Easter break 2 days longer than usual. We will have a break of 5 days in order to bring that pandemic under control.
Totally locked down.
Totally locked down, even for supermarkets. Just 2 days will be open for supermarkets and all the others will be closed, using the Easter break for this kind of slowing down the spread, to be honest. So this is the part in Germany as all around. So Germany is not an example, pro or con, but it's difficult in Germany as well. When it comes to the European Union and the European Parliament, as you know, we as European Parliament, we are now in a kind of hybrid system for more than 1 year now.
Yes.
We have the possibility to join via the Parliament's offices in the different member states. All those who can travel to Brussels, they are allowed to come, but we have to fill in different formulas and forms and so on. That's really bureaucratical, also very difficult.
You are in Brussels right now, or you are in?
I'm in Brussels. I'm in my office right now because this week is mini plenary week. You know that does mean we have discussions in the bureau, in the plenary, and also votes tomorrow and on Thursday. When it comes to the support of the European Union, I think it was vocal enough that the European Union has fought for a financial aid, for a support of 750 billion euro for the recovery fund. We call it recovery fund, in order to support those countries who hit so much economically, not only economically, also culturally, from the point of tourism, in order to give them some financial aid. It was a difficult discussion in the Council, as always, but in the end, we have now the opportunity to pay 750 billion euros to the 27 member states.
I am very happy that you mentioned this resilience and recovery facility, because my question is regarding this financial instrument. And I want to ask you sincerely, what is your opinion? Do you think that this instrument will function for all the member states, and the governments of the member states will be able to implement these national resilience and recovery plans and to receive and use wisely the money, the European funds, in order to save their economies and, of course, in order to save people's lives and also people's jobs?
Yes, I believe in it, to be honest. Otherwise, I wouldn't have supported it and raised my hand for it. I think so. This is a mixture of direct subsidies and loans, maybe, which could also interesting for our people to know this. Yes, now the projects, they have to apply it by the member states, and the different programs has to be done by the member states as well. I think to a certain extent, it's in the hand of the member states to come up with projects who support the economy, who support the industry, the societal, and so on. Therefore, I believe in it, and I guess 750 billion euro is a big amount, but when you compare it with 27 member states, is not as big as it should be. But all our people, they should know the money comes from the member states, and they can decide how much they want to pay additionally to the European budget.
Okay. Now I am coming back to the TRAN committee, the Transport and Tourism Committee, and I want to discuss with you about the mobility package. You've been very implicated in this dossier in the last years, because it started during the last legislative, and it was adopted, the mobility package number 1, it was adopted last year. And I want to explain to the public what represents this mobility package. It's a very important legislative document aimed at ensuring a better and fair access at the road transport market, and also has the aim to create a more integrated road market at the level of the EU, and the most important is the objective of ensuring adequate working conditions for the drivers. As I already said, it was approved last year, and I want to ask you and to present the most important elements approved by this mobility package number 1.
Yes.
Which are the most important elements?
Yes, the number 1, you say number 1 because we had 2 other packages.
Exactly.
This package number 1 is dealing with the road transport sector, driving and rest times, plus the so-called leg specialis on the posting of drivers. Second one, or the third one is where I was the rapporteur, also very critical, to be honest, to some member states, which is the so-called cabotage and access to market regulation. These 3, we treated that in a package because they are interlinked to each other. That shows us the importance of the European European freight, mostly on the road, also on the rail, but mainly on the roads. We have the difficulty within the European Union that we have center markets and the peripheral member states, where the peripheral member states has to go directly to the center markets, and these center markets, they have also to deliver the space, the workforce, and so on for it. And we tried to create a level playing field, but you know better than me that the level playing field is dependent on the perspective.
I want to develop a little bit with you, and I want for you to be sincere with me and to tell me, because yes, this dossier divided the parliament in 2 parts, West and East, Western countries and Eastern countries, and it was a huge fight. Do you think that at this moment, having already the political agreement, this mobility package is in the benefit of all member states, and all the companies, not only the Western one, but also the Eastern one, or also the companies from the south of Europe or central of Europe. Do you really think that at this moment it's a very equilibrated dossier?
Yes, I believe in it. Otherwise, I wouldn't done it in that way. What I did and how I did it. The thing is, it's I would say it's not an issue of East-West. It's an issue of peripheral and center. So we've seen this point. On the other hand side, we know that some member states are not happy. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone to the European Court of Justice in order to, I could think,
exactly.
8 or 9 member states have gone to the European Court of Justice. When it comes to the drivers, I'm 1000% sure that this is the best way to go, because we know, in particular, those in the peripheral member states, they have to work for weeks and even months without turning back home. And for the drivers, it will be a good turning point. When it comes to the companies, I think it could also be positive if, and I have to say the critical towards to my own member states and to those in the center, it cannot be acceptable to pay for the same service to a Romanian company. Let me give an example: 10 euros, and been paying for a German company 50 euros or 30
exactly.
euros. And that was my approach, why I have dealt that in that way. The prices will increase in the end, but I'm sure that this level playing field will deliver even those companies in the southeast and east to get more money for the same service.
Do you think that in the end, at least, is a victory against the so-called letterbox companies? And please explain a little bit what represents the letterbox companies, because it was one of the major objectives.
That was one of the major objectives. You are fully right. The letterbox companies is a possibility which was given in particular for those member states or their big expeditions and logistic companies in Germany, Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, Austria, Italy, and so on. They have created so kind of letterbox companies, hiring people in the low cost area, let me say it like this, even third countries, in order to pay less and get the same amount. And that was, from my understanding from the beginning, a wrong approach. And therefore, with this mobility package 1, I'm sure that the letterbox companies will be history, because we put so many criteria on them that there is no how can I say, added value to create a letterbox company. Then they have to go and create a real company with real payments for the same equal payment for everyone, irrelevant of the nationality. This is, to be honest, I'm a social democrat, and I have to look in particular of those kind of criteria. And when it comes to a question, I believe in it, but I know that the reluctancy is even now very big in some member states.
Great. Now I know that it's on the table of the European Parliament, the revision of Trans-European Network Trans-European Transport Network Guidelines, the TEN-T.
Yes.
And it was a very important dossier in the past, and also I think that the revision is very important. And I want to ask you, first of all, what implicates this revision, and if this revision, it will contribute to the development of the European infrastructure, and hopefully more in the southeast of Europe, because we need it more, because also the infrastructure in the west is more developed than the infrastructure in the southeast part of Europe. And the other question that I want to raise is an opinion. So what's your opinion? Do you think that we can avoid another division east-west regarding this dossier and regarding the political vision on this legislative dossier? And how can we avoid this division?
Yes. The Trans-European networks is the main backbone of European-wide or pan-European infrastructure policy. As I was the rapporteur 8 years ago, we have discussed how to connect the European Union closer to each other. We have put the ports, the seaports, the airports, the conurbation areas, the capitals, and made a network out of it. A core network and a comprehensive network. And the core network got the last 7 years 26.7 billion euro for this 27 member states. And now the revision, it will once again has around 30 billion euro. And I just want to give you the answer to your second question within the first one, because if it could be a subject of division, I wouldn't say no, because out of the 30 billion, once again, 10 billion around will be only dedicated for these kind of cohesion countries. That does mean 10 billion for sure will go into the cohesion countries. And but what I have to say also is
these are great news.
These are great news, but we had that before as well, and now once again, 10 billion dedicated only to the cohesion countries. But the challenges are totally different compared to 8 years ago. 8 years ago, as I said, we tried to combine and to connect the member states. But in the meantime, we have to not only to connect, we have also to deliver on the Green Deal targets. What does mean electrification of the mobility? Does that mean infrastructure for alternative fuels has to be there? Heavy trucks has to be charged mainly on the trans-European networks, routes around. So you see digitalization will be a big part of it. So the challenges are different, but I have to say the member states, they have to pay more normally. They are too less ambitious when it comes to financing on European level. Maybe important to know that for financing, for the construction, for the plannings, for the maintenance, the member states are responsible. The European Union makes the framework, and within this framework, the member states has to act.
Great, thank you so much. It's a very important dossier, and the support, the financial support from the European Union, it's essential for member states, and especially for the Central and Eastern member states of European Union. Now, I know that the Rail Passenger Rights and Obligation Revision dossier, it was also on the agenda of the European Parliament, and not only on the agenda, it reached the political agreement after trilogue and was adopted in the TRAN committee in 16th of March. I am right?
You're fully right.
Yes,
well,
so still I have the best information from Brussels. Okay. So, my dear Ismail, it was also a very complicated dossier. It was a long negotiation that started in the last legislative and was finalized in this legislative. And also, I know that it was a huge political fight. And that's why I want to ask you to mention the most important rights obtained through this legislative dossier by the rail passengers at the level of the EU. And the second question, which is also very important, it's from your point of view, do you think that it will be possible regarding the financial aspects for the rail companies to really implement and assure the rights for the passengers in all the member states?
Yes. So the rail passenger rights, we have passenger rights legislation also in the aviation, for sure in all modes. So what is
this is the, let's say, it's a very hot subject because it was recently approved.
Yes. Railway is always delicate. To be honest, aviation is always delicate, but everything is delicate in the European Union and not easy.
We'll discuss also about aviation.
Absolutely. Aviation will be the next topic. But when it comes to railway, we had the situation that the member states have different, I would say, different rules. The implementation was different, let me say it like that. In the meantime, we have the situation that peripheral member states has other challenges than in the center, dense populated countries like Germany, for example. For example, in Germany, we have around, when I'm not wrong, more than, I think, 5,000 stations. Yeah, the big stations are fine because you have all the people, more than 10, 20, 30,000 passengers per day, but you have also the little stations in the rural area. So when it comes to services at the station, I think it's difficult to deliver the same kind of the same level of services for this kind of rural area station. Therefore, you had to make some balance, between the big and the little one. But in the end, the European Parliament, as almost always, was more ambitious than the member states. and they have to, they were very reluctant when it came to the pre-authorization, for example, when it came to the services, what in the ticketing, from the ticketing perspective. So, but in the end, I guess the outcome of the trilogue does mean member states plus the European Parliament's position. It's acceptable. When you talk to the responsible stakeholders in the European Union on the consumer side, they are not 100% happy. But as I said, the European member states or the Council, they are very often slowing down the process, and at the same time, I don't want to say destroy the best parts of.
There is a danger for some companies to go bankrupt, respecting these regulations.
Not at all. But not because of this. If you have the obligation to transport 7 bikes instead of 2, I think that won't make them bankrupt.
But please mention some rights, because I asked you to mention.
Yeah, as I said, the transport of bikes, for example, the ticketing. Is it possible to get one ticket for the whole transport chain? People are not only traveling by train, they're traveling maybe one part by bus, one part by car, another part by plane, and another part by the railway. So for the moment, they have to pay extra, or they have to buy tickets for all the different parts of this chain. We tried to have a through ticketing model, which was difficult, but to a certain extent we made the first steps. On the other hand side, if you need some assistance, if you are mobility reduced, you need some assistance there. And on big railway stations, you need not to call earlier, 24 hours, 48 hours earlier, in order to have someone there. So on the big railway station you can go, and there is some assistance. And when it comes to the rural area, little stations, you have few hours, I think 12 hours ago, you can call them and someone will be there and support you and assist you in getting the train.
So there are many advantages and benefits for the passenger. Yes, this is sure. And now, because you mentioned aviation, the aviation is facing a very difficult time at this moment. I think it's one of the transport modes which is the most affected by this pandemic and economic crisis. And I want to ask you, which are exactly the measures of support taken by the European Parliament and European Commission to, I might say, to save the airline companies, because in this moment many of the European airline companies are going to be bankrupt.
Yes, you're fully right. The aviation is a global sector. That does mean they have to compete not only within the
it's also a huge competition.
That's the point. With third countries, they have to compete with Middle East, with Turkey, with Asia, with China, with US airlines. Therefore, it's a global industry, and therefore they have different problematics. When it comes to the pandemic, we have the direct link with business flights and tourism flights in particular. And if everything is closed, you cannot go to work and you cannot go to the tourism destination. That does mean directly negative impact to the companies. What the European Union did, for example, we have the so-called slot regulation, where you have to deliver 80% at least of the slots in order not to lose the routes, the flights, the connections the next year. Therefore, we have lifted that for 6 months plus 3 months. That was regulatory facilitating the life of the companies. But when it comes to money, the member states, they were allowed to pay money, which is normally following the state aid rules, what is forbidden within the European Union. But within the pandemic, we have given them the opportunity. Even the global player, one of the biggest, Lufthansa from Germany, they got more than 9 billion euro from the German states, and that was notified by the European Commission. That shows once again how we supported them on the regulatory side and also on the financial aid side.
Yes, I think it's a great measure that was decided at the level of the European Parliament and the European Commission, in fact, and it will be a great support for the European companies and also for our national airline companies.
Yes.
You mentioned before starting this debate about the new industrial investments at the level of the EU. And you are mentioning these new industrial investments in condition of the European Commission Green Deal agenda and also having in the consideration the ambitious objective of a stronger digital Europe. So can you offer more information to the Romanian public regarding this topic? Because, of course, investment is almost one of the hottest topics at the level of all the member states, and more now that we are facing this economic crisis.
Yes. I think we as the European Union and members of the European Union, we have a little bit, to a certain extent, forgotten how to create new industries. Because
exactly.
we had that in the past, like Airbus and others, so it was convenient for our generations just to base on them, yeah. But the pandemic has shown us, not only the pandemic, to be honest, there is also the competition from outside, second the pandemic, and third, the most important one is the digitalization. We will lose working places and workforce because of digitalization, therefore we had to do something. So, and when you compare it with the 2050 target of the European Union to be the first CO2 neutral continent in the world, we have to, we have to make some kind of burden sharing for all the sectors, for all the industries. And for doing so, we also know that all these sectors, industrial sectors, they have saved CO2 emissions since 1990. Only one sector has blown up more CO2 emission. It was the transport sector, our sector. Therefore, the spotlight was in particular on the transport sector. 27% of the whole European-wide emission comes from the tourism, from the transport sector. Therefore, we have to think about electrification, changing our behaviors, our habits, also digital approach and the digitalization when it comes to automated and connected driving on the one hand side, investing in new kinds of fuels, alternative fuels. We have spoken about the infrastructure, but we have also the need to produce them. Yeah? We cannot buy it from other regions of the world, therefore we have to produce. And therefore the European Commission in the previous term, in particular I have to mention Mr. Maroš Šefčovič, our Social Democrat Commissioner, starting with the Battery Alliance, not to forget our Social Democratic Commissioner Franz Timmermans starting the Hydrogen Alliance. This both has shown the competitors all around the world that the Europeans are able to generate and to launch new kind of industries, for example, the battery industry. For the moment, we don't play a role. We only buy our batteries from Asia mainly. And in 2025, with investments in billions, investing 2 or 3 times more than China, we will be able to get number 2 in the world with the market share of 27%. These are good news. On the one hand side, we will lose some working space when it comes to the supply chain industry and automotive sector because of the change from the combustion towards the electrification. But on the other hand side, we will be able to generate or create 3 or 4 million new working jobs and for all around the European Union. And even there, final sentence, even there is important to have a pan-European approach. That does mean all the member states, they have to have some profit and benefit out of this industrial new revolution.
Do you think that it's possible to have a pan-European integrated approach on this subject?
I'm sure, because I see the investments all over.
To ask you, it is possible to have this kind of investment in every member state, not only in the most economic powerful from economic point of view?
Yes, I believe this, but as always, the money follows there where the markets are. This is a rule. But when I look to the battery industry, when it comes to the raw materials, I see there is a clear spread all around the European Union. We have Finland, we have Slovakia, we have Hungary. I have to look even if maybe Romania is there. It comes to the raw materials on the one hand side, and the processing is also very important. So this shows us the European Union can put some strategic parts of this big value chain around the European Union. And it's once again, it's up to the Romanian government to ask and to act in this way accordingly. The investments are there. We have invested 25 billion euro only in the first 6 months of 2020, public plus private investments. You know that Tesla, for example, is investing billions in Berlin in order to
but is investing in Berlin. I want also to come to invest in Bucharest.
But as I said, Germany is the center, but that does not mean there is no need to invest money in industries in Romania. I can imagine you have raw materials, what is not existent, for example, in Germany. So therefore, I would really appreciate if Romania gets something, and I would be supportive in any case if there comes some request from Romania or from Bulgaria or other member states in the periphery.
Yes. Ismail, I want to discuss with you now a sensitive subject for Romanian public, and this is about the rights of Romanian workers in other member states of the EU. This is the simple question. Are these rights totally and fully respected? But before to answer to this question, I want to give you a short example. Last spring, in full pandemic crisis, we had thousands of Romanian workers that have gone to work in Germany, especially in agriculture, but also in food industry, construction, or social assistance. This is not a problem that they decided to work in another country, in another member state of the European Union, because this is the reason for which we have the freedom of movement at the level of EU. This is okay. But the problem that we had, it was the working contracts. These contracts were somewhere on the edge of the law. And more than this, the working conditions were terrible, were very, very difficult, almost specific to the Middle Ages, not to this time. So that's why I want to ask you, because you are a socialist member of the European Parliament, how can we sanction and avoid these kind of situations? How we can protect our Romanian citizens and our Romanian workers, which are not only Romanian workers, but they are also European citizens, and they should have the same rights as a German worker or an Italian one.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Claudia. This is absolutely unacceptable. And that was the reason why I was distracted, because I have tried to search for my letter, what I have sent on the 22nd of April last year to the both conservative ministers in the German government, the internal minister, domestic issues, and the agriculture. And from both, I did not get a response, to be honest. So far, maybe when it comes to the rights of the workers. We as Social Democrats, together with the trade unions, in particular Verdi, this is the name of the trade union and I'm a member of them, we have supported in particular the rights or defended the rights of the workers. We haven't looked into the nationalities, to be honest. It can be Romanian, it can be Hungarian, it can be Ukraine. But what we have to deliver as one of the richest countries in the world is a decent working and life conditions for the people. And as I said, that was one of the reasons why I had so much fight, in particular in the mobility package as well, because the members, the workers, the workforce, they have to be in the middle, in the center of all the policy. The people, without these people, I can tell you that in Germany, without these people, we cannot handle our system anymore. In particular in the not only in the agriculture issues, we have also in the service industry, we have them there, and without them, it's not possible for us.
But they should be respected. They should have the same rights as a German citizen.
And therefore, we are fighting for collective agreements in Germany without taking out the seasonal workers. That was the approach also by the conservatives, to be honest. They did not want to include them. But we as junior partner in this government, we told them no, they have to be included and they have to be implemented. And they are working for us, and they are working for our industry and for our sectors. And these are very often critical infrastructure, critical sectors as well. Therefore, we have fought for them, and I'm sure when it comes on the state level, when it comes to the regulations, there is no difference between a German or a Romanian worker. But that does not mean that several companies are treating the people, the ones better than the others. This is an issue what we have to take care as the member state where the people are coming to work, and we will do that in the future as well. And I don't want to make some campaign for any party, but I can tell it for me personally and for my party, we will fight for those workers who come into our country in order to work, because they are our people and we have to take them and we have to take care of them in any case. And we need them, by the way. It's not an issue that we giving them some aid. No, they are working for it and they are deserving, once again, the same amount of money as the German neighbor, because the work is the same and the payment has accordingly the same as well.
Yes, I agree with you, and I thank you for this position. I think it's the normal position that any politician at EU level should have.
Absolutely.
Yes, I want now to come back a little bit about at the touristic issues. And I know that already the European Commission proposed a green digital certificate, which will help a lot the tourism industry. But my question is, do you think that it's possible that this certificate to be approved by the European Parliament, to pass through the political agreement and to be available at the beginning of summer, because this is the moment at 1st of June, it will be the moment when we'll start the summer holiday season, and it will be very helpful for the tourism industry to have this green digital certificate. And let me to put also another question that is connected with this. I think it's very important at this moment to have a massing testing at the level of the EU. And from my point of view, I think a solution, it will be to have free of charge testing for every EU citizen. And for this, I think it's very important to have some support and some incentives from the EU level. Do you think that it's necessary to have this kind of free of charge testing and to have this financial support at the level from the level of the European Union?
Yes. First of all, when it comes to the Green Digital Pass, I'm a big supporter of that. In my new capacity, and you presented that in the beginning, I'm responsible for my whole group's policy on transformation. That does mean industry, mobility, tourism as well. We have to say that the European level, the European Union has limited competence when it comes to tourism policy. But what we have proven in the pandemic is that without the European coordination, the member state would be lost. So that was clear. And now they have seen the European Union makes sense to give some competence to the European level because they can coordinate in a better way. So when it comes to the digital pass, I'm totally supportive of that. Why? Because few months ago, I was the one who brought into the discussion the so-called European Tourism Certificate, which is not directly a digital pass, but I want to have some criteria all around the European Union in order to gain back the consumer's trust. Because if you're a consumer, you want to know if this hotel is COVID safe or not. So therefore, we made some proposal, and it has been stopped by the Commission first, and then by the member states. So second topic, when it comes to the summer periods, we cannot pay subsidies to our companies for months and years. That does mean the economy has to start in any case. And the companies, the aviation, the tourism sector is one of the most important sectors all around the European Union. I know we are all very often talking about automotive and pharmaceutical, blah, blah. But in the end, the tourism sector is one of the biggest. And if you see the member states all around the south and also Austria, not to forget Germany, they have big incomes of tourism. That does mean we have to go to open up safely, open up the sector for this industry, for the people, for the tourism. We have to give the aviation the opportunity to carry the people to the destinations. Third, we have to find data-proven, safe way of this green digital path without misuse of the data. We have the situation in Israel, it works very well, but they can do it because of the good vaccination strategy. And this is a clear criticism towards us, to be honest. We make the mistakes, and we can say that, I guess, in the meantime, it's obvious, we have ordered less and late. Yeah? And
exactly.
Now other regions of the world, like US...
in my point of view, I think it's impossible to reach 70% of the population of EU to be vaccinated until the beginning of autumn. In my point of view, at this moment, I don't think that is possible. Yeah. I think we have to change a little bit the strategy, or to assure that we will have more vaccines in the EU as soon as possible.
I'm more optimistic because we know in the second quarter of this year we will receive millions of vaccination. It's not the amount of vaccines what is the problem. It's the time where they can be delivered.
Exactly.
That's the problem. So I guess it will be maybe compared to the mask. In the beginning we did not have the mask. Now we have masks all around. Yeah, you can buy it for 50 cents all around in Germany or in other member states. That does mean in the beginning you have the bottleneck. Yeah, within the bottleneck it's difficult. Yeah, but after the bottleneck you have it in a big number. So I'm optimistic. The thing is not the vaccines. From the second quarter on, as I said, we will receive more and millions and enough and sufficient vaccinations. It's more the strategy how to make the vaccine. For example, we have the discussion in Germany, should average doctors have the vaccination, yes or not? So it's typical German, to be honest, to discuss yes or not. In the meantime, in the US, they make drive-ins. Yeah, you can go where else? You can go to the shopping malls, you can get your vaccines. But we in Germany, we are discussing, should we do, should we not? Who should pay this, who goes this, and so on.
It's the same in Romania.
Absolutely. So that does mean we have to be flexible, and we have to change our strategy in that way that we have to think about smarter solutions, because lockdown or the shutdown cannot be the only solution for it. That does mean we have to use the digital...
It can't be a solution anymore, because if we stay, I don't know, another period in lockdown, another long period in lockdown, I think that our economy, the European economy, will be in a huge crisis. I don't know if there is any facility or any financial instrument that can save us.
No, not even for Germany. So that does mean we have to go this way. So a mixture of all these issues will be the solution. The pass, data proven, as I said, the strategy, the vaccines, and to step by step open up the different sectors in order to generate once again a full-fledged economy.
And free of charge testing. The free of charge testing that I was asking about.
I don't know the situation in other member states.
We are paying, so only for the people that have the disease, or they think that they get the disease, the state is assuring a free of charge test. But if you are doing the test from your own willing, you are needing to travel or for any other reason, you are paying for the test, and it's around 80 to 100 euro, which is a huge amount per person. Yes. So if you are a family, it's really a huge amount.
Unaffordable. No, this is a PCR test. We have the situation. We had the situation in the beginning in Germany, in particular, where who has to pay and how, and the structure was not there. But in the meantime, it's totally different to the member states. In Germany, for example, you have it for free. Normally, we call it the health authorities, Gesundheitsamt in Germany. They offer that. You can do it via internet. You can get some time schedules or dates for it, and then you can go and get your vaccine. The same applies here in the European Parliament, but I think the European Parliament pays for this kind of companies. But all in all, is one sector which shows us the difficulties within the European Union, that the member states, they decide on their own. And in Germany, we have 16 different states, So in the meantime, the people getting crazy because of the different rules all around the German Federal
That's why
Republic.
I'm asking, do you think that it's possible to propose at the level of the EU and the European Commission to come with this financial support for the member states to offer this kind of free of charge testing? Because it will be very helpful also for the tourism industry, but not only, for many economic sectors will be very helpful to have this kind of free of charge.
It's a difficult question, Claudia, because the member states, the council over there, they have the decision. They are the decision makers when it comes to that, and it's up to them to find a common way. What we as European politicians always claiming for
but the own initiative of the European Parliament on this subject.
Yes,
I'm challenging you.
No, the most of the steps were initiated by the European Parliament last year in March, April,
exactly.
where all the trucks on the borders, 80, 90, 100 kilometers in a stuck traffic jam. It was the Parliament who pushed the European Commission to come up with the 10 points solution, with the green lane solution, with the slot regulation and so on. Therefore, the European Parliament is always the engine within the European Union. But as I say, we need more competence, and if the European Parliament get more competence, I think the European Union will come closer.
Yes, I agree with you, and I think that European Parliament needs more competence, and I think it's important for a better functioning of European Union.
And for the acceptance,
exactly. We are almost coming to the end of our discussion, and I want to ask you to share with me, but not only with me, with the Romanian public, with the German public too, and with all the European citizens, because I already told you that this talk show is broadcasted online and it is on all social media channels. So please, can you share with me, because you are a socialist, a message of support, solidarity and hope for our citizens?
Yes, as I said, I really believe in the situation that the European Union will be able to come up with the vaccination of their people, because the number of vaccines will increase dramatically in the next months, and I'm sure we have learned. We will learn out of we will take our lessons from the past. So our people, they should take care of themselves, stay safe. This is the most important thing. I know after 1 year having lockdowns all around and limited life quality, it's difficult for them. We know the companies, they are really in troubled situation, but they can be sure that there are politicians who are taking their concerns seriously. And I would like to quote the CEO of BioNTech in particular. He said, "We have overcome 2/3 of the whole trouble, and the last 1/3 of the way we will go together. Be motivated and stay safe. In the meantime, we will solve it. Don't worry."
I trust in you, and also I trust in the European Parliament. And now, Ismail, we arrived at the end line of our talk show, and I want to thank you so much for this interview. It was a great pleasure to discuss with you, not only because of your great and amazing experience, and not only because we've been colleagues in the TRAN committee. In fact, he was a kind of my superior, a kind of boss, because he was the S&D TRAN coordinator. But mostly...
I appreciate always to work with you, even in difficult times. I like you, Claudia.
In which we had very different points of view, it's true. But I want to say to you that I really appreciate this interview with you due to the fact that you are a European politician that has a strong European vision and strong European principle. And I think this is the most important in this difficult time that we are facing.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Claudia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and I wait to see you soon in Brussels. But first of all, I really hope that you'll come to visit Romania.
I have to go.
And you have a duty.
And to the party area.
Yes,
absolutely.
And you have a duty to organize in this legislative common official visit, a common official visit of the TRAN and ITRE committees, because you are member in the both committees.
Yes.
And
yes.
You already have the agenda, because I sent this agenda 2 years ago. So you already have a program, a schedule. Just come and visit Romania together with the colleagues from the European Parliament to see the touristic opportunities that we have to share, but also the economic one.
Absolutely. No, Romania has an industrial backbone, so we know that from the past and even in communist times. So that gives us hope, and I'm sure it will work. But after the pandemic, we have to think about all the missions within the European Union. For the moment, I have to say we have stopped all the missions.
I am aware. We wait for better times. Thank you so much for this interview. All the best. Vă mulțumesc pentru această emisiune. Ne revedem miercurea viitoare la All About EU din culisele Europei. O zi bună să aveți!